everybody, welcome to Money's No Object. I'm your host, Dylan Howell. This is episode number 460 of our YouTube channel and podcast. I could not be more excited to continue sharing with you guys personal finance topics that I think could be useful for you in your long-term financial journey. Today, we're going to talk about something kind of fun and a little lighthearted relative to some of the things we've talked about this week. And that is, what would you do if you won the lottery, right? Because the Powerball's up to a pretty big jackpot. So what would you do? What do people do? What should you do? And ultimately, is it even a smart thing to do in the first place? And I think many of us already know the answer to that question, but we live in a society that loves to gamble, that loves to, put some money at risk. And so we're going to talk about what happens if you do that in today's episode. So stick around for a discussion of all that and more in today's episode. Before we get started, though, if you could go down below, hit the big red subscribe button, like this video. Leave me any feedback in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to respond to anything you leave down there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, be sure to subscribe and leave me a review on either one of those platforms. Follow me on social media at MNO with Dylan. And that's really good supplemental materials to all the things I'm putting out in these long form episodes on YouTube and the podcast every single day. And then if you need somebody to help you to build a financial plan and keep you accountable to that plan over the long term, then I can do that. Just DM me on any of the major social media sites and tell me that you are interested in financial coaching sessions. And you and I can begin working together, pushing towards your long-term financial goals and ultimately pushing you on towards long-term financial freedom, which is what I hope for every single individual who's watching or listening to this show on a day-to-day basis. Now, let's just start here. Let's just start with this thought of, is the lottery ever worth playing, right? Is it ever worth it to actually put money towards buying a lottery ticket? Now, the lottery is not like most other gambling that we may choose to do, right? You may gamble on a stock, right? You may speculate and buy a stock and gamble in that way. Very rarely are you going to lose everything that you have just by putting money in a stock for some period of time, right? Now, can you? Absolutely, right? But it's not the exact same as buying a lottery ticket. Buying a lottery ticket, if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. You put money in and you don't get anything out of it at all, right? Same thing goes for like gambling at a casino, or like putting your money on the roulette wheel, or whatever it may be. You either win it or you lose your money. You lose the money that you gambled, right? So many Americans find gambling to be quite fun, quite gratifying. We see the sports betting that goes on now, which is just so pervasive. You see it on, every commercial or every ad on everything. It's, DraftKings or, FanDuel or whatever, right? Neither of them sponsor me, but I'm just saying, those are the kinds of companies that you hear about all the time. But what about just the good old-fashioned lottery, right? Could you win it? Is it worth it, right? So if you're feeling lucky, right, you might be better off playing the lottery. So depending on which one you like to play, you have some pretty long odds. So for example, the odds of winning a Powerball drawing was 1 in 292 million in November of 2021. So to put this in perspective, you have a 1 in 1.222 million chance of being struck by lightning, right? So that is quite the better chance of getting struck by lightning than winning that Powerball lottery. You have a 1 in 59,507 chance of dying from a hornet, wasp, or bee sting. And you have a 1 in 58,669 chance of dying in a cataclysmic storm. None of those things are likely at all, right? But you have a 1 in 292.2 million chance of winning the Powerball. So most people would agree the risk of any of these events actually happening is pretty slim, but the least of which being winning the Powerball. Now let's look at another way, right? Assume you went to the largest stadium in the world, which happens to be in North Korea. Okay, the stadium was filled to capacity. As part of the price of your ticket, you were entered into a lottery where you could win a new car. In that case, your odds of winning are 1 in 150,000. Have you ever been to like a basketball game, right? And a basketball arena that maybe holds 15, 20,000 people, right? And they say, get out your ticket. If you're in, this section, row, whatever, seat 3, then you win this, whatever. And you just feel like, how in the world could you ever win one of those things? That is smaller odds than winning in a big stadium that's 150,000 people, right? But we're talking about 1 in 292.2 million, right? So that's like saying, hey, almost everybody in the United States get a ticket and one of you is going to win, right? That is a crazy set of odds. Now, would you be sitting on the edge of your seat in that stadium as they're reading the ticket number? Probably not, right? Again, you've been at a basketball game or something where they've done something like that. You're just like, well, not winning this one. And I never have, so I'm just going to say most of the time you don't, right? Now, to equal the odds of winning the Powerball lottery, you would have to fill that same stadium to capacity 1,947 more times and put all of those people together and have the same drawing for the one car. Would anybody believe that they could actually win in a crowd of people that large? I know that I wouldn't. Still not convinced? Well, if they're giving away a new home to just one person and everybody in the 6 most populated states in the United States entered, your odds of winning would still be twice as big as winning the Powerball lottery. So let's break that down. One person gets a home out of the population of the 6 most populated states in the United States, right? Your odds of winning would be twice as large as winning the Powerball lottery, right? So the odds just are not that great. Now, of course, somebody does have to win, and the only way to win is to be in it, right? As they say in all of the ads, right? That's how they get you to go buy a ticket. But what's the best way to be in it? Well, the rules of probability dictate that you only increase your odds of winning the lottery by playing frequently, right? So each time you play the lottery, there's an independent probability, right? Much like a coin toss. When you flip a coin, it may end up being heads, it may end up being tails. But the next time you flip a coin, you still have the same probability that it could be heads or it could be tails, right? So regardless of the number of tosses, that you still have the 1 in 2 probability. The odds stayed the same in the lottery and the coin toss, regardless of the frequency of playing. You can, however, increase your odds by purchasing more tickets for the same lottery drawing, right? Of course, the more tickets, the better chance you have. Now, keep in mind, the 2 tickets might increase your odds from 1 in 14 million to 2 in 14 million, which is not a significant improvement statistically speaking. Now, someone would have to buy a lot of tickets to appreciably increase their odds of winning. Even if a person could afford to, however, they could not buy enough lottery tickets to guarantee a win unless they were the only person buying the tickets. As more tickets are collectively sold, the odds of winning inversely decrease. Now, who plays the lottery? Well, the chances of winning the lottery are exceedingly remote, but that doesn't stop people from playing, right? Even in this world where we have Robinhood to speculate on stocks on our phone, we have DraftKings, we have FanDuel, we have all these different things that we can gamble and bet on. People still play the good old-fashioned lottery. Okay, on average, U.S. adults spend approximately $313 per year on lottery tickets. What? That is an outrageous stat to me, right? On average, U.S. adults spend $313 per year on lottery tickets. I've probably bought 2 lottery tickets in my life, right? But $313 a year on lottery tickets, just doesn't even seem real. Now, when a state lottery was introduced in Texas, the number of adults who engaged in gambling, which a lottery technically is, increased by 40%. In certain states, the majority of lottery revenue comes from a small percentage of players. A Minnesota study, for instance, determined that 20% of its lottery players accounted for 71% of lottery income. In Pennsylvania, 29% of players accounted for 79% of income, according to the most recent statistics from the North American Association of State and Provincial Lotteries, right? So we would call those people addicts, right? The people who are, coming up with 80% of the income, but it's only 30% of the people, right? Those people got a problem, right? They're out here buying tons of tickets because they believe that they can actually win, right? So what? Well, the lottery is just one of the fun things that we do to, strike it rich, right? We all like to get rich quick, whether you say it or not, right? Everybody would love to be rich quickly. They would like to not put in the work to be rich, and the lottery gives that option. Now, for some folks, that's true, but for others, often those with the least amount of money to spare, playing for these jackpots can be a serious income drainer. An overwhelming amount of lottery participants seem to reside in the lower economic classes, according to the stats. Small wonder that consumer finance gurus say the lottery is essentially an extra tax on the poor. Now, fast fact, lottery retailers collect commissions on the tickets they sell and also cash in when they sell a winning ticket, usually in the form of an award or bonus, which is kind of weird, but that's the truth. So why are we talking about gambling in the first place? Why are we talking about the lottery? Well, because we can kind of juxtapose the lottery with investing, and we can talk about, hey, if you won the lottery, what should you do? If you come into any major windfall of money, what should you do? Now, the lottery is just a whole nother level, but let's talk first about gambling versus investing, all right? So a curious headline was placed on the homepage of the Mega Millions website in March of 2011, a day when the odds of winning flew up to 1 in 175 million. The headline read, "Save for retirement." Anti-gambling groups cried foul at this apparent attempt to spend the lottery as a means to fund a person's post-working years. And lottery officials quickly issued a statement saying they were running a campaign encouraging people to dream about how they would use their winnings, not offer a financial strategy. Yeah, don't listen to lottery people for your financial strategies, right? For your financial plans. Now, is there a better, more profitable way to spend or invest the money that you'd otherwise devote to the lottery? Well, let's look at the numbers. If a person spends $5 a week on lottery tickets, it adds up to $260 a year. Okay, $5 a week on lottery tickets is $260 a year. They said the average person is spending $313 a year on their lottery tickets, right? So let's just say that you, instead of buying lottery tickets, that you invested $313 a year, okay? Let's say you did that over a 30-year period. So 313 is the amount that we put in. Start with nothing, right? Over a 30-year period, that's going to turn into over $51,000 for you if invested in something like the S&P 500. You do that over a 50-year period, that's over $364,000 that you could have put away for yourself instead of buying lottery tickets, right? And just think about it. The likelihood that you'll get gains out of your money over 30 to 50 years in the stock market is basically guaranteed, okay? It's not guaranteed, but it's never not happened, okay? But the likelihood of you getting any money out of your lottery ticket purchases is almost zero, right? It tends towards zero very, very hard. Now, of course, the stock market's never a sure thing, right? Stocks can depreciate as well as appreciate. So even if you took a more cautious estimate, right, and you just said instead of making 10% on your money, you made 5% over 50 years, right? That's $65,000. You do that over 30 years, that's still over $20,000 that you wouldn't have had otherwise, right? I'm not saying you can save for retirement on this amount of money, but I'm saying it absolutely does not hurt, right? So you can put that money away and you can grow it. Now, although some would argue in today's economy, there's no way to guarantee any type of major rate of return or whatever, right? There's a pretty good chance that you can earn a greater rate of return than what you would make on your lottery ticket purchases, right? The odds of having, $15,000 after 30 years are largely in your favor relative to the person who's doing the 292 million to 1 odds of the lottery, right? So by all means, invest your money, right? If nothing else that you get from this episode, I'm not saying don't do anything that's fun to you with your money. I'm not saying not to ever speculate. But I'm saying don't do it in lieu of investing, right? Many people, and I'm not just talking about the lottery, I'm talking about investing, or gambling on sports. I'm talking about gambling on stocks even. I'm talking about gambling on Bitcoin or whatever else, right? The speculative mindset needs to be just damped down some, right? Just put it away, that speculative mind, make it a very, very small part of what you think and do with your money. Very, very, very small part of what you think and do with your money. But you need to be investing at all times because the probability of coming out ahead in that, even though it's boring, is far more likely, right? We like the risk. Of course, we like the risk of speculation. We like the fun of it, the thrill of speculation. But the outcome is typically not going to be great. Now, there's a new article out that says, here's what to do first if you win the Powerball's $454 million jackpot. So I guess that's what it is running at now. So if you play the Powerball, there's a good chance that you've daydreamed about how you would spend the money if you hit the jackpot. So with the lottery game's top prize at an advertised $454 million at Wednesday night's drawing, you may want to give thought to what you'd actually do if you were to match all 6 numbers. So experts recommend big lottery winners take steps right away to protect their windfall, of course, right? First of all, we said earlier, lower income individuals are typically the ones playing the lottery in the first place. It's just true, right? So these are individuals who haven't managed large amounts of money, immediately having to manage ginormous amounts of money. And even if you aren't somebody who's low income, managing that amount of money is likely something that you've never had to deal with. So for starters, remember that a lottery ticket is a bearer instrument, meaning if you hold it, it's yours, right? So you protect it if you actually get the winning ticket. So you can take a picture of yourself with the winning ticket and then put it somewhere safe, such as a safety deposit box, until it's time to claim the windfall. Now, additionally, you may want to sign the back of the ticket. So just be aware that in some states that don't allow you to claim your winnings anonymously, doing so could interfere with your ability to take ownership of the prize via a trust or other legal entity, which would shield your identity from the public. So if you want to stay anonymous, it may not be the best idea to sign it. Now, it's also worth sharing the life-changing news with as few people as possible. So you won't be able to remain anonymous if you tell a bunch of folks, right? So keep it on the down low. Now, the largest lottery jackpots in history, I think this is really interesting to look back at, and this is between Powerball and Mega Millions. 1.6 billion was the largest, and there were 3 winners. That was in January of 2016. October of 2018, there was 1.5 billion. A winner was in South Carolina. There was 1 billion winner in Michigan in January of 2021. The most recent one here is October of 2021 at 700 million winner in California. So pretty crazy amounts of money to be winning just based on a lottery ticket. Now, you should turn to experienced professionals to help you guide you through the process of claiming the money and the many facets of protecting your windfall. Your team should include an attorney, financial advisor, tax advisor, and insurance professional. By all means, no matter how much you know about anything, I'm just telling you, if I won the Mega Millions or the Powerball or whatever, right? If I won the lottery, then by all means, I would be getting all of these people on my side first and foremost, right? Because that's just a ton of money and a ton of responsibility. Now, this group can help you determine whether to take your winnings as a lump sum or as 30 payments spread over 29 years. Most lottery winners choose the immediate reduced cash amount. For this $454 million cash jackpot, the cash option is $271.9 million. All right, so let's just do a little math, okay? You can either do a 30-year payment, right? 30 years worth of payments, or $454 million jackpot, right? So they are discounting this this ultimate payout back to today to get the current cash amount. And the discount rate is actually quite low. The discount rate here looks to only be about 3.7%, which is pretty crazy that they would be that low of a discount rate. So basically saying if you can make more than 3.7% on that money, which you should be able to, then taking the cash option is the better choice. Now, something you do have to take into account with this cash option is the taxes, right? That would be an easy option to take if you didn't have to take into account taxes. Now, either way, you would face a 24% federal tax withholding before it reaches you, so the federal government goes ahead and gets some of their money. Now, for this jackpot, taking the cash would mean about $65.3 million getting shaved off the top. However, additional federal taxes would likely be due at tax time, given the top rate of 37%. There may also be state taxes withheld or due as well. It's also worth giving some thought to how your life is going to change, and not just from a financial perspective, right? Some experts suggest seeking guidance from a financial therapist or a mental health professional to help you deal with the stress that comes with winning, which I'm sure that is quite the shock to the system. Meanwhile, the Mega Millions jackpot is 43 million, 25.9 million cash for, I guess this was last week's drawing. And the chance of a single ticket hitting Powerball's jackpot is 1 in 292 million. And for Mega Millions, it is 1 in 302 million. So, moral of the story here is what? Moral of the story here is that it's very unlikely you're going to win the jackpot in the first place. It's very unlikely that you're going to win the Powerball, the Mega Millions, any of those. It's very unlikely, even if you were to win, that you would get to keep more than half of it, right? Because taxes are going to, tear that thing apart, right? But even if you did, right? Yes, it could set you up for life for sure. But this should not be your plan, right? Your plan to just win the jackpot, your plan to win the lottery is not a good plan, right? It's not a good plan to be spending $313 a year on your lottery tickets. That's just not a good idea, right? If it were up to me, I mean, who's to say that you ban lottery tickets? I don't know. I don't think that's a great idea. Allowing people to do what they want with their money is perfectly fine, right? And a lot of these, jackpots, they create scholarship funds and all those things for students. But nonetheless, I mean, there are people who are just addicted to these types of things and, they're never going to win, just statistically not going to win, and just throwing their money away. From a personal finance point of view, I mean, there's very few things that you can do that are statistically worse for your money than, buying a lottery ticket. There are a few things that are worse. People liken the stock market to gambling. It's nothing like this, right? It's nothing like the odds of winning the jackpot or not, right? The likelihood is, if I had $1 million and I could take that million and I could buy as many lottery tickets as I wanted, or I could put all that money in the stock market and then come back in a year, I would put that money in the stock market and come back in a year. Regardless of what the stock market did, I would still have more money statistically than I would have if I were to put all of that money towards buying lottery tickets for the $454 million jackpot, right? So my words of wisdom to you are, keep it to a minimum. If you have this little, itch to gamble, I'm not saying don't, right? I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. It's the worst if it takes over you, right? Just like anything, when you get addicted to it, can become dangerous, right? But if you're going to gamble, if you're going to buy lottery tickets, if you're going to do any of that, there need to be some very strict parameters set, right? And my parameters for all of that would be, you have an emergency fund, you're out of debt, you're already investing money for your future, so you're actually growing money for your future in a reliable, long-term way. So you're doing that. You're doing all the things that you should be doing with your money. And then just a very small portion of what you decide to use for entertainment or whatever else should go towards your gambling itch, right? Because ultimately it is entertainment. Ultimately it is you deciding, I am willing to light this paper, light this cash on fire and just let it burn, because the likelihood that you'll get it back is very, very, very small. Nonetheless, is it fun? Sure. It's fun to watch the numbers with the hopefulness. When I think about all this, I think about the Friends episode where they all put in money to buy the lottery tickets, and Monica hides them in her shoe, the ones that she just bought for her and Chandler. So I think about that and how it, kind of makes everybody crazy and makes you, really excited to watch it all unfold and all this kind of stuff. But the likelihood of winning is just so insanely small. And, the idea that you will win is crazy. But even if you did, the likelihood that you have good financial sense, given that you bought the ticket in the first place, is probably also very, very low. So as a rule of thumb, just don't put your hope in the jackpot. Don't put your hope in lottery tickets. Just stick to strong financial foundational truths. Stick to investing your money over long periods of time into things that have built wealth for individuals, because the vast majority of people who become millionaires in the United States aren't winning lotteries. They are not gambling to become millionaires. They are not getting lucky to become millionaires. They're following a strong financial process and just continuing in that process day after day after day over 20, 30, 40, 50 years until they can finally call themselves millionaires. And as much as you may not like playing the long game, as much as you might have the itch for get rich quick is not the way that most people in the United States get to being a millionaire. The vast majority are slow and steady, and you absolutely should be as well. So thanks for watching this video. If you could go down below, hit the big red subscribe button, like this video, leave me any feedback in the comments down below, and I'll be sure to respond to anything you leave down there. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify podcasts, be sure to subscribe and leave me a review on either one of those platforms. Follow me on social media at MNO with Dylan. That's really good supplemental materials to all the things I'm putting out in these long form episodes on YouTube and the podcast every single day. And if you need somebody to help you to build a financial plan and keep you accountable to that plan over the long term, then I can do that. Just DM me on any of the major social media sites and tell me that you are interested in financial coaching sessions, and you and I can begin working together, pushing towards your long-term financial goals and ultimately pushing you on towards long-term financial freedom, which is what I hope for every single individual who's watching or listening to this show on a day-to-day basis. So tune in Monday as I continue talking about personal finance topics that I think could be useful for you in your long-term financial journey. So thanks for tuning into this episode of Money's No Object. I'm your host, Dylan Howell. God bless.